Hi, this is going to be Debbie with D.Ann's Designs, and welcome to my workspace. Today I'm going to try to go over the composition of creating the leather look, faux look journal for faux leather, I should say. Anyway, there was some requests on how I might have worked mine, and there's other videos out there. I haven't really reviewed them, but I know that more than likely they can be very helpful also. So I'm just going to go over real quick what I did to create it, and you can kind of go with it from there and see what you guys come up with. So anyway, first off, I'm going to have my black stamps out. I have various times and kind that I'm going to use. These are little scripts and some little grunge things here. You can use your sewing paper, and for more of a textured style look, which is what we're going to do today also. So I've got it out, and I'm probably for the journal folder. I used one file folder when I created that video, and the video I'm referring to, it's there on my all my videos, so you can find it. It's listed in there. Anyway, I've got one file folder on this particular style. I'm just going to start with a new one. This one isn't quite as new, probably. Here we go. Okay, so what I did, you're going to need also go ahead and get your Mod Podge out and get your, I used brown shoe polish. If you do not have brown shoe polish, you may have like some brown paint that you can pick up, in Walmart. It's not a big to do on that one. I don't even know if I have any, because I don't really ever go out to get any. Acrylic paint, something like this will work, and of course in whatever color you want it to be. They have like a real pretty type of turquoise blues and browns. That'd be beautiful together. I chose the brown and the gold and the black because it's just kind of my colors, but you guys choose whatever you wish to work with. So let me get this out of my way, and then we will get on with getting our stuff going. Okay, let me set this back a little bit. Also, if you do not have sewing patterns, that's the other thing I was going to tell you. You don't have to use sewing patterns. Sometimes, like my kids will buy shoes that are in a box and with tissue paper, and mine never come that way. Mine are right off the shelf, let me tell you. But they're kind of nicer shoes, and I'll take the tissue paper. And especially some of the men's shoes, they have some of the prettiest tissue paper. So I'll grab that out. They don't mind. And a lot of times I take the box too. But anyway, let's go ahead and try to cut this down. I've got this guy out that I won't be using quite yet. And you see your line right here. Put it on my pad. And then I take my knife and I just go down with my knife. Take your time so you don't end up slicing your finger or anything like that. And just cut your file in half. Okay, so here's one half of it. Here's the other half of it. And I would say this one is a center. Let's see what this looks like. We folded it in half. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these tabs off, because mine happens to be a center, and they come in different directions. This one is a center one. You'll have some that tab this way and some that's going to tab on this side. It's up to you, however you want to do it. And always retract your blade. Sometimes gets me in trouble. So I'm going to take like one of these tabs off, which will probably come down and be this one here. Make sure I'm lined up on them pretty good. And then I'm going to remove it as such. Then I'm going to come back on here, because I'm not big on the Oh, on every file, they always have these little jot outs right here, usually after a tab. You can see a little jot out. I'm going to take it on off because I'd rather just square it up. But that's just who I am. You can leave yours on and be really silly happy with it. That's fine, but I'm just kind of one of these that are like, nah, I'm going to take it off. Okay, so now what you should have is a project that looks similar to this. And then we're going to tuck it in here and see what we have. So this is kind of where this would set. You may want to leave this with a little bit more. We can put some lines in here if you want, and score lines, I should say. But I'm kind of one of those that just goes ahead and just folds it down. Unless I have a thicker journal going in it, then you can just fold it down. And today we're just going to fold it down. Keep on getting stuff together. So now we have this, and you can take, and I don't know if you guys like to sew or whatever. On mine, I sewed it. I sewed a line around into here. Actually, I put it from about right here and just went around. So that's up to you. You don't have to sew it at all. You can leave it just like it is. It's fine. It's going to have so much going on it. You probably won't even notice it anyway. So it's not a big deal. So anyway, we're going to put this over into here. See if you can see it. There you go. And the first thing I do is I run a coat of shoe polish on the outside and on the inside. So I'm going to try and do that right now. I should really have some scraps along in here to lay down underneath my paper. Well, even if it's not scraps, I don't care. I'm going to get the pad too much more dirty than what I usually already have it. And so if you'll just, I promise you, I'm kind of a dirty little cracker. I mean, I just really get carried away with it some days. So anyway, just let me know right off the bat. I'm not the cleanest one. Just in a hurry. Try to get it done. And here we go. That'll help me out. It'll help you out if you don't want to have everything shoe polished, then you may want to get some old newspaper or something like that even. That's fine. I run in one direction now because it'll show. If you go another direction, it will show. So it's kind of like staining wood. I don't know if you've ever stained any wood before, but nice wood project and it's time to stain it. You got to go in the direction of the grain. You can't go against it or it will show. And you really don't want it to show. This is going to start breaking down the fibers in your paper. Worry about it because it will end up getting nice and thick anyway. Okay, so look here. Now we've got this. And I don't like, let's see this. Sometimes I end up, when it's a little heavy, I'll just take and just slightly go over it. So it won't be quite as heavy anyway. Down on my edges. Then I'm going to come back. And the other thing you can do, this is what I do because I've got to have everything sped up. And you just take your heat gun or I don't know what y'all have. I just use this heat gun. I suppose if you needed to, you could use a blow dryer. Something that will quick dry something for you. A hair dryer, I should say. You know, one of those little blow hair dryers. That might work for you too. But I'm one who can't, I just don't wait all that great, and I like to get this tutorial to where it's not too long for you. So it doesn't take all that long because you're doing one coat at a time, and it's not that heavy of a coat. So you just kind of, dry it off a little bit. I suppose, you know, if you craft near the oven, you could probably pop it in there. I don't know, never have. I don't know if shoe polish would take in an oven. Maybe we shouldn't try that. Okay, so I'm going to hang that up for right now. I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to start in here with getting our interior. You're going to want to do the interior because this is the journal holder that we're creating right now. And we might end up with yeah, somebody looking inside, and you don't want it to have the manila look going. So just go ahead and color that on in too. I have created several actually with this one bottle of shoe polish, but it is getting low. I do want you to know that, but I've done quite a bit with this one bottle of shoe polish. So you may want to consider that. And believe me, the paint is much cheaper than the shoe polish. But I just don't work a lot with that. That's just me. Okay, so now I've got my coat on here. We're going to go ahead and run a dry on this real quick too. And maybe we can get this dried out. And then we can move on. And when you finish it, the other thing with the shoe polish is it actually smells like old leather when this thing is done, which is exciting because you're trying to make a leather appearance. And to have the smell of that is really pretty nice to have too. It's a good addition. Let's just say that. Good addition. Okay. So now that we have this on here, we're going to make sure it's pretty well dry. Okay. Pretty well dry. Now, we're going to take this and we're going to do a little Mod Podge on here. Okay, we're going to have to get your lid on. Now we're going to get our Mod Podge out. I still have a little left in this one. Use on it. And get your sewing papers out. Get them ready. Okay? That's what you really need to do. Just undo the sewing page. And let's see what you might want to do. Now, my sewing pattern, I am a seamstress, and so I don't use my patterns that I wouldn't, maybe want to go back into. I just go to the thrift store and get some that I know I'm not going to use, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pattern kind of ready to be sized here. Now, I'm not going to be doing this on the inside, which is great, but I will be wanting to do some of this on the front too, maybe. You don't have to. You don't have to do any of this. You're going to take and you're going to water it up a little bit. Not a little bit, actually quite a bit. And take it out. And you can see, when you cut yours out, make sure it's a little bit bigger than what your actual thing you're going to look to cover is, because the wrinkles, although you will squish it out a little bit more, but it is going to be shrinking it up a little bit. So don't get it cut and be right at the border, because it's going to shrink up a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to take this, and I like to start working a little bit at a time on it. So like I'm going to start at an edge like that and start applying my Mod Podge. If you don't use Mod Podge, then perhaps you'd like to use your like your Elmer's glue and water solution, or you can do like a 50-50, or some of it can even be thinner than that. You can actually do like a 75-25 and 25 on the glue, and you'd probably be fine. But the reason I'm going to break this down to just a section is because I want to make sure that I've worked it all in there pretty good, and I didn't miss anything. I'll miss something if I try to do too much at once, you know. So anyway, we're going to put this on here, just like that. Put her down. And to me, I want the wrinkles, so I'm not going to be squishing it too awful hard. I'm just lightly going over it. That's all I'm doing. As you can see, then I'm going to turn this so that I'm still in frame. And then we're going to continue on to the next side of it. Okay? And those are long. Gotta remember that. And really, it's easier probably just to pour this stuff out on top, but I don't. And the reason, and let me tell you why I shoe polish before I put this down, is because it will give a brown effect underneath the tissue paper. The tissue paper itself is kind of a beigey color anyway, but the moment I put it over the manila color, it is not. I'm going to have to use more shoe polish on the outside because, you know, it just didn't cover it good enough. It just didn't look dark enough for me. Now I'm going to take this, pull this back over, and we're going to just go this way. And this is just how I do it. Like I said, there's got to be other tutorials on this. There just has to be. I just haven't looked for them. But check Pinterest. You know, Pinterest will sometimes have things like this. So check that out. I'm just showing you what I know I could do. Just showing you this is what I did do. Okay, so on here now, what you can, so I'll just take the scissors here, then kind of make it easy on myself. There we go. Couldn't figure out the problem with that corner. Now I'm going to start taking some of this off. I may not be right up on the file folder, but I don't have to be because I'm going to have to sand anyway. And, you know, you might come as close as you can to it. And I don't like to get my scissors on any glue because then I have to take the alcohol and scrub my scissors down. Yes, I guess. Now these little things too, you might want to hang on to because you never know. You just might need a little piece, especially if you're going to be working a leather journal. You may want to work it with you may want to tag and see what you think about that. Let's see what's going on here. There. Magic silly. Windows and their updates. I tell you, they cause me more commotion in my life. It's kind of a pain some days, that's all. Probably just me. Okay, so I got this pretty well trimmed out. And I think I'll save this group here. Okay. The other thing you might want to have handy is some wipes too, because when you're not using your paintbrush, you should really keep it moist until you can get it to the sink to properly clean it. We got one more in here. Yes. Okay. I'm trying to get it up off of my workstation. And then I just take them and I just wrap it up. And that way it keeps it wet until I can get it down to the sink. Because I don't carry water up here in the craft room except for a spray bottle. But other than that, I'm down. Okay, so now we've got that down with our Mod Podge. And I'm going to go ahead and dry that down a little bit. And again, you can let this set overnight and, you know, it'll dry on its own. You don't have to do a dryer at all. You don't want to, but I'm not one of these that's going to want to make 2 or 3 videos either to let you see how it works. The other thing you got to do is when you get this dry, then check all of your corners especially, and make sure all those corners are lying flat. Okay, so you can see this one here is wrinkled up pretty good. This is nice. And you can see your lines will be showing in here. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll try to bring it up to you. But this is how this is, you know, appearing right now. So you've got lines from your wrinkles when you watered the paper up, and then you squished it back out again. And this is what you want to see. You're going to want to see these lines. You simply do this. Okay. And I really like to make sure it's dry, because when you start putting like a paintbrush or your sponge from your shoe polish on, it will pull it. And it's better to have it, you know, dried off so you're not ripping it. You can repair it. If you rip it, it's no big deal. You just glue that little spot back down. It'll be fine. It's just, you know, an extra hassle. Not that I don't have those. I sure do. Okay, so now we've got this. As you can see, again, this is going to be kind of where this thing would be at. Yeah. So this is kind of going to be the front of it, and then this is going to be the back of it. All right. That's kind of how that's going to rest. We have this. We're leaving this just shoe polished inside. That's all we got to do on that one. Super simple. Okay. The other thing, you want to check your edges. And there's always going to be something that didn't quite stick good enough. So I just take a little bit. I take a little bit off. And then I, out of the jar. Ooh, you are way down there. And you just make sure it's stuck down. Just like so. Just check your edges. Check your corners especially. Because I personally am very bad about not getting my corners good enough. Gotta go back on them, but that's okay. We can go back on it. We'll be fine. So make sure all of this is down. Do a good old double take on it, so you don't have to mess with this anymore. It will be done. And that's what we're all after here. Okay, look at this. There's a big old swatch right here. You just have to go back over it a little bit. Like the way I use my fingers. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have my fingers. I'm better in the paintbrush. Got this. You got it pretty well down, kiddos. I think you're pretty well down. Just like that. Side over here. Yeah, get this off of me real quick like. My lid back on. Put some more Mod Podge in there. I buy the big containers of it, and then I just fill up the little ones. These big ones are kind of bulky on the desktop. Okay, let me try to get my fingers cleaned up. Ouch. Okay. I think I got like a, I don't know, it's like tendonitis or something going on. I think it was over here. I've been out working in the tree rows, and they're, yeah, sometimes. Okay, so we should have this down on my corners pretty well. Something I do go over those stupid little corners. And that's just because I am so, I just don't get it good enough. That's real, it's my fault. And, but you just go back. Just go back and check it out. Okay, I'm going to grab a sanding block. You can grab this or an emery board or something. And you're just going to kind of, you start up here and you're just going to kind of pull down. Okay, so you're not tearing anything. And then we just start taking our edges off. If you like to leave your edges on, that's totally up to you. I just don't think it gives it that much of a leathered look if you leave them on. Okay? Because that is not really your decoration on that one. Okay. I have to get in this little, into this little curve. You're going to have to work that a bit. It's okay though, it comes out. You just keep working it. And don't leave it hanging. You know, you want to make sure you got it cleaned, even on this side. Don't leave it hanging down on there, because it won't look pretty at all. Okay. My sanding blocks, I usually get at something like Lowe's. And that'll be, but I have a shop, so that's why I go in there. And I have to have my sanding blocks. I have to have them in here too. So they're not that expensive, but emery boards aren't either. You can buy an emery board at, let's see if I got one. Yeah. You can buy one of these type of emery boards, and I picked mine up at Dollar Tree. I mean, they're super great. They work fine. If you're looking for anything like that, you may think about that. It's just I happen to have these, and so I bring a couple upstairs with me. And upstairs is my crafting room, and yeah, there we go. Look at that. I noticed on here, a little off of there, that and check all your edges. Make sure you have all of this stuff cleaned off of here. This doesn't want to work out, does it? Sure. And make sure all of the tissue paper is off. And you've got everything cleaned up. Now, like I said, here's your front. Now we got all the edges cleaned up. And this guy had a little break in him. I didn't notice him when we started working with him, but that's okay. You know what? It all works out in the end anyway. There. Now we just have him rounded, and he looks adorable. Okay. So now we've got this on. Clean my working area off a little bit more. And we've got everything sanded, and you've gone to the inside, and you know you got it all off of there. So we're not going to have any snags come up later on. So on this, then we're going to come back over, and we are going to try and get the shoe polish back out here again. Oh, I should just right here. Trying to get it to where I don't have a mess on my desk like I usually do. Anyway, here. It's almost gone. Then you're going to come back out and we're going to start rubbing our shoe polish. Or the paint, whatever you're using. It does not have to be shoe polish. If you get the shoe polish like I'm using now, I highly suggest you get one with a sponge top on it. It makes your life so much easier to work this thing with. But I think you can probably, I haven't ever tried it, but I would think you can use the shoe polish paste with a rag and put it on there too. I don't see why you couldn't. Of course, I'm using a brown shoe polish. I think that's all it says is brown. Yeah, brown. Protects brown leather. Sure enough. Okay, and on this, I kind of go more in a circle. And the reason I do a circle is I want to try to get in here to all of my little crevices and get all of it done. It actually goes kind of quickly. It doesn't look like something that would go quickly, but it really doesn't take all that long. I like the pattern print on here. I think it's pretty. But it probably won't show by the time I get done with it too often much. But it'll show some. But nonetheless, it's the one that gave you your texture. And that's what you're looking for. That's kind of what gives this faux leather appearance. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's very pretty. I love it. And they're so fun to make. And it doesn't take you that long. It really doesn't. Now, if you don't want to sew yours, then do a glue, but do a very good glue, because this is it's going to take a journal going in and out of it all the time. And if your journal is big, you know, a little thicker, it's going to pull on this. But, you know, there's just, some of us just don't have a sewing machine, and it's okay. But you just use a really good glue so that we don't ever worry about it, you know, coming back ripping or anything like that. It's just very well taken care of that way. Okay, as you can see, quote number 2 anyway, probably a third. But I go until I know it is dark, because I like mine dark. Now, you don't have to have yours dark. You don't even have to use brown shoe polish. I'm sure that they use a tan paint if you want, or if they don't have tan shoe polish. I don't know what they have out there anymore, but I can tell you, you can do this whatever colors you want to do this. I think a teal and maybe a little touch of brown on the teal. I think something like that would be beautiful. You just do you. And right now we're doing this tutorial just so you can see where you start at, you know, and what to do with it, because sky's the limit on this, really. You don't even have to use this type of tissue paper to create it. You can, maybe you've got some white tissue paper or something like that from Christmas. Maybe you want to make a white leather, faux leather journal cover, you know? Just go for it. See what you want to do with it. Okay, so I think I've got mine pretty well darkened here. I'm okay with it. As I was doing mine, this one here showed me signs of coming up. And this is why I'm saying it's so important to go over all your edges and your corners and make sure that they are tacked down really good and hard. Because, yeah, it will lift, but that's workable. That is workable. I just don't want you to get into one where you've got a lot of it coming up. That'd be disheartening, I would think. Okay, so now we're going to heat this up just a little bit. Try to get some of the shoe polish to dry. And this is going to be dry, on the top. But I'm sure the fibers inside, they're going to have to dry overnight. So once you make it, you might try and size it to make sure it's going to fit where you need it to fit. But I wouldn't be putting a lot of pressure on it until it had a 12 hour anyway type period, to try and dry it off a little bit deep down inside. Right now, we're going to go over this with, just trying to basically get the outside of it dried off so we can continue, you know, getting this ready. Okay, so now some of you may want a photo on this. Some of you may want nothing on this. That's fine. I did a nothing on this, except I did some stamping and things like that. But I didn't do anything on my journal cover. I did it on my journal, which is that's just what I wanted. It doesn't mean that you have to do it that way at all. So check this out. Look at this. Isn't that just gorgeous? Check this out. It is pretty. It's coming along quite nicely. It's beautiful. Now you can stop right there and you can glue it together and you can be done with it if that's what you want to do. I'm going to go a few steps further because that's how I am. But man, it's beautiful just the way it is. There's no problem with leaving it just like it is. And you can put Mod Podge on it and seal it off and call it a day. It does not take long to do these. It really doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and take mine, and I'm going to start putting some stamps. Now, I am a stamp person, but I'm also one, I really read the angel policies to these things. So, if you are a stamper, make sure you are reading, the angel policy, and that if you need to, like in Tim Holtz, I've got to use the Tim Holtz little name, and I stamp that over there by the stamp. You'll just read the angel policies. They're all different. They are all different. And some say, just go ahead, you can use it without, my permission. And after we pay this much for stamps, I would think that would be an okay with everybody. But, isn't always that way. So, here we go. This is just kind of a grunge type of stamp. It's just a circle. Circles. That's all it is. And it's kind of cute. So I use it. Oh, and I do have a block. I don't know why I don't have it. If you have a block, you should really try and probably use your blocks. If you can. It just works easier. Probably saves your hands from getting too dirty too. I have a tendency to do that. Okay, so those are on there. And you can lightly stamp or you can deepen it up, however you want to do it. Let's see this one. You should try and wipe off a little bit here and there. This one here is a little print. It's going to stick on my board. Sometimes they give me trouble. I just take the baby wipe to them and add a little more moisture in there for them. They just get a little dried out. That's all. Ain't no big deal. And you can kind of see some of this on here, but some of it's a little hard. That's okay. Back. Go to the front of this. Okay. I'm going to go up here because it really could use a little something. It's going to be a little dull without something there. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, so we have this, and we kind of like it, I think. Let's see what you think. You may not be able to see that at this point anyway. It's looks pretty good, I have to say. I'm okay with it. So far, so good. Yeah, boy, my fingers get dirty. Okay, let me move that out for it now. Yes, I need it. Okay, so then this, to me, this is pretty well cooked. I'm okay with it. I think it's pretty. It needs to go ahead and get sealed, and then we'll just call it a pretty good day with that one. Like I say, it doesn't take long to make these up. You may already have a journal ready, but you never thought about putting it in its own little casing. Well, here's one you can put it into, so it doesn't take you too long. There we go. I'll just try to get all that in there. Make sure you're sealing off everything pretty good. Don't let your Mod Podge get too heavy either, or that it'll show the brush strokes, and you don't want the brush strokes as much as you just want to have your sealant on. Now they do make a spray on Mod Podge. I don't own it, and I just never had a need for it. But some ladies really do like their spray on. They don't like to do this. You've got to take and clean up the brush afterwards and things like that. But I don't like an aerosol spray too much of any kind, so I usually shy away from them. That's just me. Biggie. Okay, so here we're going to have, this is my coat that I'm going to run on here. It's going to seal off that polish and the stamping. It is going to make it safe, because you do have a very thin paper that you put underneath there. So you really want to seal it off. Make sure it's all kinds of safe. Especially around your edges. They tend to get held onto. Like you pull a journal in and out of here, and you tend to hold on to your sides, while you're doing that, which is normal. But you want to make sure you got those edges really well sealed, so you're not tearing anything. That's all. I want you to have to come back later on, and try to fix something. Now we got that. I won't let you run another one, but don't fret yet. Okay. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to try and dry this off a little bit. Guys, I'm just showing you what I would do. You may not want to go through all the levels that I go through, but it's just whatever result you want. I'm just showing you the way I do it. This isn't very expensive. I've had my file folders for many, many years. I'll be glad to use some of them up, actually. Give me some space in there. But in the Mod Podge I've had for a long time, we all know it goes quick. It lasts for a while. And if you don't, you stir up your own. That lasts too. However you do it, that's up to you. Okay, so I think we pretty well have this. So my Mod Podge is pretty well dry. And it's looking good, ladies and gents. It's looking real, real good. So, let's take a little bit more probably. It didn't take that long to dry out through. And when you put that Mod Podge on, it does leave it. This is really what makes the leathery come out too. Let's do this. As you can see, this has got a, now it's looking like it's really, now it's looking really leathery. But I'm going to go one more step because I kind of like to do that stuff. And I'm going to take, I have, this is called metallic gilding polish. This one is my gold, enchanted gold gilding polish. And it comes in different colors too. You may want to do something else. You may have something else. This one is called Pearl. And this one is called Silver Dream. I enjoy using them. As you can see, I'm running kind of low on my gold. I'll have to restock that. But it goes a very long way. I've had these things for a good bit of years. I like to come in here and I like to just touch maybe a little bit of the gold in here. Just let it kind of gold out. And it's up to you. You don't have to do it because, like I say, I think it's beautiful just the way it is. It's up to you if you like to have a little bit in here or not. If you do, of course, I use my fingers. It does come with a sponge. It's a sponge on top of it. But I'm kind of a finger person, I guess. That's what I do. Okay. It'll give it a little bit of glistening, but I'm running it super, super, super light because I don't like to. I like it, but I don't like an overabundance of it either. Just going to add here a little bit. I don't know what it would be like if you used the paint. You know, if we were talking about earlier, that might be pretty. Might could try that out one day. I don't know how to take time for it or not, but I bet it'd be pretty there. You just keep going with this gilding polish until you say, this is probably where I want to be at. Okay. And then, we'll just go down this side, I guess, a little bit more too. Another thing I want to show you is, I don't want to get too far out from my time zone either. how much time I spend is great with me. I don't mind at all, but I don't want to keep everybody all day with this either. Now, you can have something like that, and I'm going to come back. Let's see, just like that. And what that does is it turns it into more of a copper type of look. And then you have kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of aged to me. It looks pretty good. It's just who I am. That's what I like. So now you got, well, this is on top of Mod Podge, so you have to understand that you have, I'll just hold this out now just a minute. Put another coat on, which I always put more coats on anyway, because I'm going to make sure. I don't put my coats on very thick, so, you know, it's up to you and all, but I usually don't like to have my coats on too thick of anything. I'm afraid it's going to, bubble up or peel off later on and stuff. You just really need to run it kind of like a thinner coat. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to work and talk at the same time, and that's never been a big asset of mine, let me tell you. Okay, so now we have just touches, and it's just kind of fun. It's just kind of fun of the metallic. And then when you put the shoe polish on this stuff, it just turns it a beautiful, beautiful coppery type color. Love it. Kiddos. Here we go, another round. I guess you might say there's just a lot of dry time in between some of this. And you do not have to use an electrical appliance to dry your stuff out, but I mean, you guys are probably much more patient than me. You can still see, if you look good, you'll see your sewing pattern down below there. You still see your stamping, on here. It's really comes out pretty cool looking. Good. As you can see, it's getting stiff as a board. And that's another reason I like to use my Mod Podge, is because it does stiffen it up. Well, it's glue. I mean, it just makes a solid stiffener. Okay. Most of this is drying time. It really is. But, okay. It's worth it in the end. Woo! It's good. It's really good. You can see it there. It's going to have just little sections of gold. It's just, and then even those have been looking like copper, a little bit more coppery than what we would have had if we had just left it gold. You can just leave it gold if you want to. I just like to do the gold and then put the shoe polish on the top of it. It sounds good to me. So I think that in order to be really, let's see something here. I don't know for sure what this is. But I think in order to be kind of ready for making sure everything's going to stick and stay on a long, long time for you, we're going to run one more coat And it'll be a little thinner coat with the Mod Podge. Make sure I like everything, because that's my final, and I won't have time to correct. If you see some little flaws that you don't like, correct it now, because you're not going to have time to do it. It'll, yeah, just want to kind of do it now. It's so cute. Okay. Thin coat on top. Let's get this done. Really make sure you got your spine well on this. So that'll be a good stiffener to use on this. Now, Kay Comer, she's one who really wanted me to do this, and I'm glad to do it. Really, really happy to do it. I really am. But, you know, she makes her cute little grandma journals and other journals. And I'm sure if you would just, Kay, if you would just size this, maybe fit, maybe you'd like to put that with yours. I don't know. Let's see what she does with it. See if she likes it. She may say, oh, it's just too much. And it is a lot of drying time, let me tell you. It is a lot of drying. But anyway, let's see what you think. And anybody else, you know, that may have an old, you know, I like to do the old journals. I like to do the old vintage things. And Kay does them even more than I do. She does some really pretty journals. You know, if you haven't seen her journals, just look up Junk Journals Grandma with Love, and you're going to see some real pretty journals, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just a little bit more, as this is the back. To me, on the back, that is the area that you set it down. You know, it's on top of a tabletop or something like that, and it's going to get a lot of use. Now, you can also take, which I didn't do on this one here, and I did on my other one, take your sander and just rub your sander on here, and you know, especially before you do any Mod Podge, rub it on there. You can probably still do it with the Mod Podge on, but then you need to reseal again. But it'll give an old, worn out appearance, like it's really been laying around there for many a year. And yes, I think that you know, that looks good too, however you want to do yours. We're doing it this way on this one today, but there's many different ways you may want to work at it with. Okay, one more quick dip here, and you should be about ready to seal up. See what you think. And the other thing you can do too, if you'd like, is don't leave any tab on it. You can take the tabs right off of there. That's no problem. It's yours. So you do as you think you want to see yours appear. This is just kind of giving you a little bit of an idea of what you may want to work with on yours. You want to add a picture, just Mod Podge that picture on there, and just take your black ink and make it look like it's been burned into the leather, and you just shoe polish, you know, around it. Don't shoe polish on this, but on the picture, but you know, around it, and that'll be fine. Okay, I think this should be about dry here. And don't let your heat gun set too awful long on your Mod Podge either, or it will bubble it up. And then you'll have another mess to clean up. Anyway, there we go. I think I'm going to take and do a little bit on the old tab up here too. should have done that probably earlier. Keep flipping it over and forgetting about it. And if you don't have tissue paper, you don't have to use it. You can, if you have stamps, use your stamps. You know, that'll be fine. Let me show you this one without the tab. You know, I didn't have tissue paper on the tab, but I did place a stamp on it. And now I've sealed it off, and that would look great on your outside cover. It would look fantastic. Up to you, however you want to do it. So you can draw that off to a bit too. Okay. Now it's time to put all of this together. Now, like I said, you can stitch this, and stitching will be, I just think it helps it with you know, with stiffening it up and stuff. But if you do not stitch, that is fine. The other thing that I'm thinking might be really cute too is if you were to take a little hole punch or your awl and just go down here with a series of holes all the way around, and then you just start weaving a like a leather bound or something like that in there all the way around, that too would be cute. Today we're going to take this, which is I'm using art glitter glue on this. I think I'm going to put it on here though, so I don't have to guess that other side. And you make sure you got good glue on it, because you do not want this to come apart. You don't put your glue out too awful far either, because remember, you got to put a journal in here. You want to make sure that you have it measured out, you know, good. Make sure your edges are under how you're supposed to be. Okay, and I'm just going to take and fold this over. Always have a wet wipe. I'm always in need of a wet wipe. Okay, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to put this together. Make sure your edges are lined up really well here. And I don't worry about if my glue comes out, because it is a clear drying glue. But if you're not using a clear drying glue, be sure to get your glue picked up, you know, right away, so it doesn't show on your pretty work. If you want to use a sewing machine, you go ahead and get all of your stuff done, but you do not put the Mod Podge on until after you stitch, because your needle's not going to be happy with you at all if you try and work it through that much glue. Okay. I wouldn't go popping anything in and out of here yet, but you know, I'd let it dry really good. And art glitter glue, it dries very, very fast. Okay. This is kind of how this is going to look. It's great as a little journal keeper. Let me tell you, you are going to have a fun time with it. Make sure this one, yeah, it is on there. Yeah. We have to put some more in here. We got the side anyway. Catch our bottom. Get your bottom with a little strip of this on here. Okay, now you have that. You have your bottom sealed off, which is going to look pretty good. Looking pretty good. Like I say, if you would like to have more of a worn out feature on here, you just take your sanding block and you can start rubbing it down like that. And, oh, it feels so soft too when you do it. It's pretty nice. Do that soft leather. Nice. Feels good. That's great. It's your primer if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But it does kind of aid you a little bit more. It kind of softens it down. And that's kind of how that would go. Let me see what I'm Get your baby wipe. I don't know what's get it in there. Because you have a lot of grooves now. Oh my goodness, that's pretty. Ooh, that's good. Okay. Can you see that okay? It's got like a, put my glue lid on. It's got the, yeah. You can see the faux leather. It's got the creases up and through here. We've got some old stamping done on it. You can still see your paper, your sewing paper, tissue paper, and yeah, looks good. I like it a lot. So anyway, you would do that. You can do a journal cover with it, of course, as I've done before, and you can fit it, measure it to fit wherever you've left your glue line at. Measure the journal to fit inside of there. Like this one here, it's going to measure out. I don't want it up against this edge either, so I'm going to come in from edge about 1/4 of an inch, and then this is where, if you can see this, this is where the glue is right in here. So my journal cannot go over 4 3/4, and that right there would be tight. So I'd probably reduce it down to like a 4 1/2, which is fine with me. I like my journals 4 1/2. But you know, you adjust. You do yours to adjust to you and what you're going to make. Anyway, you do the same thing, follow the same process on your journal. But like I said, if you wanted to put a picture on here, then you would just simply, you put that on. Let's see, on my journal, I didn't use the tissue paper. I just did a solid shoe polish, and then I put the page on with Mod Podge, the picture on with the Mod Podge, and then I did shoe polish around it, and then I did the black because I tore around the page so it looked like it was kind of torn in there. Anyway, looked like it did look like it was burned in, and I suggest you visit my video and you can see what my journal cover came out like. So yeah, this is kind of what you do. You end up, you use 1/2 of your file, and the other half you can use to create your journal, which it may have to be resized to fit in there. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, I definitely want to be resized. So this one would need, you know, to be cut down, which it's okay. You just cut it down. We like to have ours, you know, however tall you do yours, and then we can only do a 4.5, I believe is what I called out. So if I did a 4.5, it would be right about here. And my cutter through here. And then I would have a 4.5, and then that's about, I wouldn't go any taller than that right there with it. See, now I've got a little ledge. And let's put it inside of here. And it's going to slide in like so. And that's about as far as it goes. And as you work this thing, it becomes more pliable. Right now it's pretty stiff. But, you know, as you work it, it's like anything else that's leather. You work it enough, it becomes more pliable. Okay, I'll still take this down some more and not keep it flat. Up into there. Oops, and get that together. Yeah, I would do it kind of like that. And then you will have a good starting here to your journal. You'll kind of know what size of papers you're going to have, and you'll also know the thickness, because this wasn't done with any extra, can't think the names now, that, you know, fold lines, where you can, or you could even attach a wider sheet in here. Cut this completely open and attach a wider one in here, you know, like I did here. I did this. This is a journal I'm working on now, and these are cutouts that I did, but I needed this to be wider because I wanted to put 3 signatures inside of here, and so I was going to need the width. Well, this is kind of how this has come out. Whether I like it or not, I don't know. I'm still working on it, so we'll see what I end up with, but this is kind of how this is coming out. And it would need to have the same, if I was going to make a cover, then I've got to be able to house this thickness. This is, I think, a 1.5 inch. So this would have to come up to 1.5 inches too. See what I'm saying? I just matched that out. But anyway, we went from a file folder, which was this color right here, the manila folder, and now it looks like this. So it's definitely a difference. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you, if you have any questions, please leave them down below there, and I'll try my very best to answer them for you. But this is altered now. It's now can house a journal, and you know, I'll be happy to do anything else that you may need for me to help you with here on this. So you just leave a comment and let me know, and I'll try my best for you. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps, and if not, give me a holler, and I'll be back with you. Okay, bye now.